the Frog Prince's promise in a kingdom where dreams still had power, there lived a king whose daughters were all beautiful, but the youngest was so breathtaking that even the sun paused in awe each time it lit her face. Near the king's castle stretched a dense forest, and hidden under an ancient lime tree was a crystal-clear well. On hot days, the youngest princess would wander into the forest to sit by this cool fountain, tossing her favorite golden ball high into the air, catching it as it glittered in the sun. She was enchanted by this game. One day, her golden ball slipped past her outstretched hand, bouncing onto the ground and rolling right into the deep, dark well. The princess watched, helpless, as it sank out of sight. She cried out, her voice echoing through the woods, filling the air with her sadness. Suddenly, a gravelly voice croaked, "Why do you cry, young princess? Even a stone would feel pity for you." Startled, she looked around and found a large, old frog staring up at her from the edge of the well. She sniffed and said, "Oh, you old water splasher, I lost my golden ball in the well." The frog, with a sly grin, said, "Don't cry, I can get it for you. But what will you give me in return?" Desperate, the princess promised, "Anything. My pearls, my jewels, even my golden crown." But the frog shook his head. "I don't need those. But if you'll let me be your friend, eat from your golden plate, drink from your cup, and sleep in your little bed, then I'll bring it back." "Oh, sure," she said quickly, thinking he's just a frog. How could he expect to live with me? The frog grinned and with a quick leap, splashed into the well. Moments later, he reappeared, holding the golden ball. Thrilled, the princess snatched it up and dashed back to the castle, not sparing a second thought for the poor frog who had made it possible. But the next day, just as she sat down to dine with the king, a strange noise came from outside. Splish splash, the princess froze. Moments later, there came a knock at the grand dining hall doors and a familiar voice. "Princess, youngest princess. Open the door for me," nervously. She glanced at the door and saw the frog waiting, his eyes glistening with expectation. Her father, the king, noticed her hesitation. "What troubles you, my child?" she explained. "Oh, father, yesterday a frog helped me retrieve my golden ball, and I promised he could be my companion, but I never thought he'd actually come to the castle." King gently insisted, "A promise is a promise, my dear. You must let him in." Reluctantly, she opened the door and the frog hopped in. "Lift me onto your chair," he said. With a sigh, she obeyed. Once seated, he requested her golden plate. She slid it over, though she could hardly swallow a single bite as the frog cheerfully enjoyed the feast. After the meal, he demanded, "Now take me to your room and lay me in your silken bed." The princess was horrified but had no choice. She carried him gingerly, 2 fingers pinching his slippery body, and placed him in a corner of her room. However, just as she settled into bed, the frog crept over and croaked, "Let me sleep beside you, or I'll tell your father." Frustrated, she picked him up and, in a moment of fury, threw him against the wall. But instead of a splat, there was a shimmer of magic. The frog transformed into a handsome prince with gentle, understanding eyes. The princess was speechless. The prince explained that he had been cursed by a wicked witch, and that only her kindness could have freed him. Tomorrow, he said, they would travel to his kingdom together. The following morning, a royal carriage, drawn by 8 white horses adorned with golden chains, arrived. A loyal servant named Faithful Henry was there, his heart relieved and light as he escorted the prince and princess. As they rode, a strange crack sounded from the back of the carriage. The prince asked, "Henry, is the carriage breaking?" "No, master." Henry replied, "It's just one of the bands around my heart snapping. They were placed there to keep my heart from breaking while you were cursed as a frog." Twice more the cracking sounds echoed, and with each one Henry's heart bands broke, a testament to the depth of his loyalty. Thus the prince, once a frog, and his faithful friend rode jauntily back to his kingdom, with the young princess by his side, where they lived happily ever after.